Can you imagine if you're her parents? How proud of Sandra Fluke you would be. Your daughter goes up to a congressional hearing conducted by the Botox-filled Nancy Pelosi and testifies she's having so much sex. She can't afford her own birth control pills, $1,000 a year for sex, and she wants us to pay for it. Having so much sex, they are going broke buying birth control pills. Georgetown law student Sandra Fluke said that it's too expensive to have sex in law school without mandated insurance coverage. What does it say about the college co-ed Susan Fluke, who goes before a congressional committee and essentially says that she must be paid to have sex? What does that make her? It makes her a slut, right? Makes her a prostitute. She wants to be paid to have sex. She's having so much sex she can't afford the contraception. Co-eds are having so much sex that it's hard to make ends meet. They're admitting before a congressional committee they're having so much sex they can't afford the birth control pills. Susan Fluke, one of the butt sisters. Well, I guess now we know why Bill Clinton went to Georgetown. Susan Fluke. So much sex going on, they can't afford birth control pills. She said that to Nancy Pelosi yesterday. I am sure that there is voluminous tune-in today to hear about this controversy that has arisen with my blunt talk about Sandra Fluke. I think this is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. The left has been thrown into an outright conniption fit. What I said yesterday about Susan Fluke or Sandra Fluke, whatever her name is, the Georgetown student who went before a congressional committee and said she's having so much sex, she's going broke buying contraceptives. What would you call someone who wants us to pay for her to have sex? What would you call that woman? You'd call them a slut, a prostitute. That has sent them into orbit. So much sex at Georgetown. Sex-crazed co-eds going broke buying birth control. Having so much sex that they are going broke. What would you call that? So I called it what it is. They want to have sex anytime. Has many partners as whatever. No limits on this. They're going broke. Sexual habits of female law students at Georgetown. Women in her law school program are having so much sex. So much sex. Georgetown law student Sandra Fluke said that it's too expensive to have sex in law school. 4 out of every 10 co-eds are having so much sex, it's hard to make ends meet if they have to pay for their own contraception. The personal sexual desires and habits of everybody, including women, at Georgetown Law, the poor babes have to buy their own pills. That's $1,000 a year for sex that she wants us to pay for. Now, what does that make her? She wants us to buy her sex. She wants us to pay for her sex. Where do you think the insurance companies, forced to cover this cost, get the money to pay for these co-eds to have sex? She and her co-ed classmates are having sex nearly 3 times a day for 3 years straight. Random hookups that these babes are encountering here, having sex nearly 3 times a day. I'm going broke having sex. Asking for us to pay for the things that make it possible for her to have sex. Therefore, we are paying her to have sex. Therefore, we are paying her for having sex. We are getting screwed. Even though we don't meet her personally, what would you call this? Ms. Fluke, have you ever heard of not having sex? Have you ever heard of not having sex so often? So, Ms. Fluke, and the rest of you feminazis, here's the deal. If we are going to pay for your contraceptives and thus pay for you to have sex, we want something for it. And I'll tell you what it is. We want you to post the videos online so we can all watch. So if we're going to sit here, if we're going to have to pay for this, then we want something in return, Ms. Fluke, and that would be the videos of all this sex posted online so we can see. What did I say? I said, if we're paying for this, it makes these women sluts, prostitutes. And what else could it be? Essentially says that she must be paid to have sex. What does that make her? Makes her slut, right? Makes her a prostitute. Miss Fluke, who bought your condoms in junior high? Who bought your condoms in the 6th grade? Or your contraception? Who bought your contraceptive pills in high school? Wouldn't you be just as likely to go broke in high school and junior high as you would be in college? She's having so much sex, it's amazing she can still walk. Maybe they're sex addicts. We're talking sex addict frequency here. This woman who wants unlimited, no responsibility, no consequences sex. She's having so much sex, she can't afford her birth control pills anymore. Women at Georgetown who have so much sex they can't afford birth control. Her name is Sandra Fluke. She's having so much sex, she can't pay for it. She's having so much, she gives the numbers, $3,000 worth of birth control pills worth of sex. A woman comes forth with this, frankly, hilarious claim that she's having so much sex, and her buddies with her, that she can't afford it. Not one person says, what did you ever think about maybe backing off the amount of sex that you have? Her sex life, and it's, by her own admission, quite active. It was Sandra Fluke who said that she was having so much sex she can't afford it. Sandra Fluke is having so much sex that she can't afford it. She's going broke. They're having a lot of sex, for which they need a lot of contraception. Her sex life is active. She's having sex so frequently that she can't afford all the birth control pills that she needs. That's what she's saying. Does she have more boyfriends? They're lined up around the block.